everyone, and welcome to the show. Well, we've got Ed tied up in the back room there. I've taken over. My name is Thatcher Williams, and welcome to the Fallon Forum. I'll be guest hosting today. A special thanks to our show sponsors, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Great March for Climate Action. Also, we want to give a shout out, a thanks to the Gateway Market for sponsoring this segment of the show. Gateway Market and Cafe, located at 20th and Woodland in the Sherman Hill District, provides lots of fresh groceries from Iowa farms and local producers and keeps their money in the local economy. Gateway Market creates memorable food experiences by offering an abundant selection of natural, organic, and specialty foods from around the world. They serve the central Iowa community by providing locally made, handcrafted products in a welcoming, customer-centered environment that encourages learning and honors the simple pleasures of the table. Stop in today for delicious breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's a favorite local spot. All right. Again, I am guest sitting in for Ed Fallon today, and my guests today are to be the 4 newly elected school board members in the Des Moines School District. 2 are actually returning to the school board, and we've got 2 newcomers. Today we have Tariq Caldwell-Johnson and Connie Boson, both returning. And we've also have Rob Barron and Toussaint Cheatham is on the way. They are our new school board members. Now, Terry, you are...
Terry.
Sorry.
Okay.
Terry, you are representing the South Side District in the new district segments of the Des Moines School Board.
That's correct, District 4.
District 4. Connie, you've been elected at large.
Correct.
You were the top vote getter in this election, actually, for the at-large seats. And Rob Barron, you're the other at-large representative on the school board. And actually, we just got the final results today, and it was a squeaker, actually, between second and third place, wasn't it? About 28 votes separated you and current school board member Joe Jongleward.
It's a landslide as far as I'm concerned.
And Toussaint Cheatham, like I said, will be here shortly, and he is representing in the North Side area, or the First District.
Second District.
Second District, thank you. Second District, which encompasses primarily the North High School boundaries.
Through downtown.
Through downtown. All right. Again, we're just going to recap the Des Moines School Board election. It was this Tuesday. It appears that about 7,000 individuals voted in that election. And in fact, I have a couple of numbers here from the auditor's office. One of the interesting things in school board elections is it's usually primarily a low turnout. In fact, there are 121,000 registered voters within the confines of the Des Moines School District, and about 7,000 people voted in this election. Now, is this something that we see traditionally? Again, Connie and Terry, you would know better since you've run before in Des Moines. What is this something we normally see as a trend, I should say?
Well, historically, the turnout for school board elections is relatively low. Just by comparison, in District 4, there are about 29,000 registered voters, and in the last school board election, less than 1,000 voted. This year, we're up, which I'm happy about. But again, I really think it underscores the importance of people utilizing this as an opportunity to have a voice in the folks that they elect to the school board. And I'm hoping that the trend that we're seeing this time around is something that will continue moving forward. It's very promising.
Connie?
I actually was disappointed because I thought going to districts was to create more voter turnout, and it really didn't. I think we had less this year than we had 2 years ago, and that was one of the record lows. So I would say the voters really need to get more voters engaged on school board. I was quite honestly disappointed.
Okay. Well, yeah, exactly. I know that the high point was the 2008 school board election, but I think there was a lot of hype, a lot of talk around that school board election. And like you said, we are now at districting. It's the first time that Des Moines School Boards is set up in a director districts election setup. And again, I know that Marty Mock and the individuals who came together for the districting, we're hoping for a bit more representation, a little bit more voter turnout for these elections. Now that it was more of a neighborhood kind of a setup. So hopefully, as they go along, they will find ways to reach out better for the voters and get more interest for the elections. Now, as at-large candidates and now as at-large electeds, what do you see? I mean, obviously, with Terry Caldwell-Johnson and with Toussaint Cheatham, they're not only are they representing the entire school district, but they're representing the individuals who voted them in their districts. As at-large representatives, what do you see your role as we go forward in the future in representing, I guess, the entire school district?
As far as at large, I've always been at large, so I've always represented, and I think I hope that even though we do have districts, that we don't see a regionalized approach to how we're going to do education, that we still look at all the students, because we are an intricate system that is I call it a spider web. And I don't think, there's the hope is that you'll have better communication with your district. You'll be able to get in touch with more people. So that would be the goal of that. But when you look at issues, we have to be very careful that we're looking at how it affects all 32,000.
Yeah, and I'm the new guy to this thing, so to take what I say from that perspective, but I do believe that there's not that much difference between all of us once we're on the board, and that all of our perspectives need to be district-wide. I will certainly count on Terry and Toussaint for guidance on local issues, but that does not mean that their interest stops at their district's boundaries or for anyone else. I mean, we have a large and diverse district, and there are a lot of folks for us to talk to and reach out to and needs to fill, and we should all be active district-wide.
Okay.
I would like to weigh in on that, because I do think that, kind of adding the dimension of individuals being elected specifically to represent the interest of a particular geographic area and then the constituents that reside there adds a very different dimension to this board than what we have ever had in the past. And I think that the real important thing about that is that we all represent all 32,000 students of this district. However, I do think that when it comes to issues that are specific to boundaries, school closings, and things of that nature, it gives us the opportunity to weigh in a more significant way by leveraging the experience we have in that particular district, the relationships that we have in that district, and also the folks that we know, in a way that hopefully brings them to the table and gives them a voice that they may not have had in the past, but certainly hopefully gives them an opportunity to be a more active player, if you will, because we can actually call on them in ways that maybe we haven't done in the past. So I think that there are really positives that can come as a result of this. But as I look to leverage what I have in terms of my relationships in District 4, I also recognize the importance of how I represent all 32,000 students of this district.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, and it gives the individuals who live in, say, District 4 or District 2 or District 1 or District 3 as we go forward, the ability to know, well, I know that my first point of contact in the school board is, District 4 would be Terry Caldwell-Johnson, and District 2, Toussaint Cheatham, and so forth. As we move forward, again, we're waiting on Toussaint, but I would like to get the individuals who are watching today, our audience watching and listening today, to kind of get to know a little bit more about you. So I'm going to start this way, and so Terry, you'll finish on this one. We're going to start with Rob Barron. Rob, just give us a quick summary of who you are and why you chose this voluntary job, essentially.
Right. Well, I'm a Des Moines native. I was born and raised here. I have an older sister. My folks raised us here in Des Moines. I live here now with my wife and my son. I have an 8-month-old son, Javi, and he was really the reason why I ran. I ran because I thought I could bring some new perspectives to this board. We've never elected a Latino to the Des Moines School Board, though our Latino school age population is skyrocketing. And I also thought my personal interest is long term with this board. One way or another, I've got buy-in for the next 20 years with this school board because of my son, and we're proud to raise him in the public school system, and I think I've got a lot to add, and there's other stuff too, but we'll talk more.
That's all right. Thanks so much. Connie.
Well, this is my 4th term, so I have served 10 years, and I got involved through schools with my daughters when they were in grade school. I was active in PTA. Then when they went to high school, I became the East High PTA president, and then got involved with the school sales tax, the 1999, where we were going out campaigning. I served as treasurer of that campaign, and also then co-chairman on the second one, we see the rewards of that every day, especially when we just opened up the new admin school. So, and that's really how I got involved, and always kept in touch with what was going on with the schools and felt I could be of service. And so when I first got on the school board, my role, I looked at what can I do to help improve the schools within the bounds of a school board member and got actively involved in preschool because I thought preschool was a way to help raise the academics for our school district, and actually worked with Rob in Senator Harkin's office to get federal grants, and then worked with local grants to expand the preschool before universal preschool came into it. And then I've always looked at different things on how we can make our district better, and came up with a pass and play program where we reward students for good attendance and during the summer a positive experience. And currently I'm working on Dream to Teach. Again, trying to recognize that there's an issue that we don't have enough minority teachers. Well, how do we create that? We do have some other programs, but we're talking about starting in 8th grade and creating a program for kids to go through high school and then get a college scholarship to teach, or to pay for their college scholarship to be teachers. So always looking at ways that we can improve opportunities for students and make a difference for the Des Moines schools.
Fantastic. And Terry?
Well, it's interesting because I really think that what I do in my volunteer work with the school board is a perfect complement to what I do professionally as the CEO in the Oak Ridge neighborhood, probably one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in this community. And as a result of the investment not only that we've made in the infrastructure with the creation of the new Edmonds Elementary, but also with the work that we're doing around really addressing the notion of minority student achievement and also the achievement of students who are low poverty, I feel like it's sort of a win-win for me because not only do I get to do this job in a volunteer capacity, but I also get to live it in what I do from a paid professional perspective as well. It's interesting because I'm not for sure I ever really had the notion that I was ever going to aspire to elected office. And I also don't believe that even if I did aspire to elected office, that it was going to be as a member of the Des Moines School Board. It was just something that came to me one day, especially as they were contemplating the closing of the Edmonds Elementary School. I did some research in my professional role and found out that at the time, the students in the Oak Ridge neighborhood were attending 17 different elementary schools at the same time they were getting ready to close the neighborhood school, which was literally across the street. And as I began to look at that, it became clear to me that that didn't happen to any other neighborhood in this community, and there needed to be a way that I could weigh in to really begin to give a voice to the people in that neighborhood. And so I was very fortunate to have been elected to my first term in 2006, and then my second term in 2009, and now my third term in 2013. But it was as a result of my involvement there that I think we were able to not only make some shifts in thinking around the closing of Edmonds, but as Connie just mentioned, we now have the very first new school that's been built since Morris Elementary several years back that represents the interests of the people that live in that neighborhood. So I look at this as a great opportunity to not only meld my professional work, but also my passion for wanting to be an invested part of this community and give back in ways that impact kids.
Well, and I want to thank you folks for doing that as well. Like I mentioned, just as we went to Rob talking about his background, the Des Moines Public Schools, the school board is a voluntary position. It's not a paid position. You don't get any kind of stipend, any kind of reimbursement. This is your time that you spend each and every day, each and every week to make sure that our schools are better for our children. And I want to thank you for that. We're about ready to go into a break. And when we come back, hopefully Toussaint will be here at that time and we can talk to him as well. Again, my name is Thatcher Williams. I'm guest hosting for Ed Fallon on the Fallon Forum today. And today our hosts are the newly elected school board members that were elected this past Tuesday. We want to give a thanks out to HOQ Restaurant, Hawk Restaurant. My producer, Maddie, reminds me. Hawk Restaurant. Experience healthy, local, delicious, sustainable, farm-to-table dining in the historic East Village of Des Moines, serving lunch, dinner, and brunch on Sundays, all while eating in season. And also a thanks to Flying Burrito at Ames and in downtown Des Moines. A great green place to have lunch. Healthy, delicious, and quick. Stop in today. And of course, again, thanks to Gateway Market for sponsoring this segment of the show. And we'll see you when we return.
Concept Studios. This is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait.
Howdy.
And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's time to wake up, people! This one goes out to teachers and students. It's time to get our learn on. And we got a lot to learn, too. I don't know it all, but I know a few things. Science. You hear? You take up space, you matter. It's just science, man. Don't be a bully. Don't even be a bully to the bullies. It just makes more bullies. We can all be awful sometimes. We can all also be awesome. It's time to be more awesome. And that's what it's time for. History. We gotta study it so we don't repeat it. But if history does repeat itself, then I'm gonna name my pet dinosaur Reginald. I just hope he doesn't eat me. We can't just study history. We gotta make history. And history's made by ordinary people. Ordinary people like you and me. And that guy. The world's greatest thinkers. Confucius, Albert Einstein, Justin Timberlake. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like me. But I put my pants on one leg at a time while I'm dancing. You can go by. Yeah. You're gonna be in the video though. Life's a school, and you gotta show up. You can't just sleep in. You can't be late. And you can't just hang out in the bathroom, that's gross. It's like Walt Whitman said, YOLO. Except he didn't say that, but you would know that if you would read a book, baby. Seriously, read a book, any book except the vampire ones. You wanna change the world? You gotta know about it. What if Shakespeare didn't go to school? His plays would be even more confusing. To be or not to be? Is that the question? I don't know what a question is. I didn't go to school. Anybody? Help me out here. I got a question for you. What are you teaching the world? How to be boring? How to make the world sad? No! No, you're not. We're teaching the world what it looks like to be awesome. No matter who you are, somebody's learning from you. Everybody's a teacher and everybody's a student. Look for the awesome. Teachers see things. They see when you're running down the hall. They see when you're passing notes. But they also see the person that we can all become someday. A writer or a speaker or Martin Luther King. Teachers, keep teaching. Students, keep studenting. That's not a word. Sorry about that. Here's to teachers that see the awesome. The homework is this. What do you want to teach the world? Do it. Let's make some history together because it's simple math. Together, we're better. Those girls are a little too loud. Is there a teacher who inspires you? Let them know. This is for teachers everywhere, so share it with them. We gotta make the world awesome. Somebody's learning from you. I'm out. Get to learn on. We're making history. I'm gone.
Awesome.
All right, that's the kid president, and I am Thatcher Williams, and I am sitting in for Ed Fallon today. I was asked to guest host. I'm active in my daughter's school. She's 7 years old over at Phillips Traditional School over on the east side. Very passionate about education. In fact, 20 years ago, I unsuccessfully ran for school board myself. Out of a pack of 13 for 3 seats, I was able to score last place. Very proud of that. None of my folks here today, however, scored last place. They are all the results are official now. They are all the future of our school board. 2 are returning, 2 are new. We have Terry Caldwell Johnson, Connie Bozen, Rob Barron, and Toussaint Cheatham. Before we skip into some more questions, we've been able to listen about the backgrounds of the other 3. So Toussaint, thank you for coming. Glad you're here. I understand you had some work going on, and I'm glad you were able to find a parking spot and come on up here today.
Yes.
Toussaint, give us a little bit of background about you and what made you to step forward and run for the Des Moines School Board.
All right. My name is Toussaint Cheatham. I'm a graduate of Des Moines North High School with Thatcher. Actually, same year. Mm-hmm. I graduated high school with a 1.25. I didn't do as well as Thatcher did. After I graduated from high school, I went to the college for a short while, but because I did not have the tools, I ended up going into the Marine Corps. After the Marine Corps, made some bad choices. After bad choices, it was a time for redemption and time for changing my life, so I made some changes, became a pastor. I've been pastoring almost 20 years now. Moved back to Des Moines from Minneapolis, Minnesota, because I had what I call a Nehemiah experience, that the walls of Des Moines were torn down, so I wanted to come back home and try to make a difference. And so in making that difference, there were a group of elders, group of former educators who asked me to run for school board. And so at first I said no, and then I later said yes. And so now here I sit, an elected official, and so I'm ready for the task.
All right. Now, we just saw the video from Kid President basically talking about essentially that we're all teachers. He was talking to teachers and students, but he was talking to all of us about how what are we teaching our students? What are we teaching each other? Are we teaching each other to be boring? Are we teaching them to be awesome? As school board directors, there's a heavy responsibility on your shoulders, not just with the $500 million budget of the Des Moines schools, over 5,000 teachers and staff, 32,000 plus students. It's about the community. What, and we'll start with Toussaint, since you were, you're right there. You're in the hot seat. What do you see for the future of Des Moines, which is our most important topic of this broadcast today? What do you see as the future of education in Des Moines? What do you see the Des Moines School Board as basically teaching us to be awesome?
For me, I believe the biggest thing right now is the achievement gap. Mm-hmm. I think that we really need to nail that down, the achievement gap, and closing that. And the previous school board was moving. I looked at numbers. The previous school board was working to narrow that gap, and I think we need to continue moving forward in that, making sure our kids have the best possible education.
All right. Terry?
Well, I think it goes without saying that strong schools, make a strong community. And there's just nothing that you can say about how important it is we really invest in our schools. And not only invest in our schools, but really use this as an opportunity to elevate the notion of how important schools are to the larger quality of life for our entire community. So for me, it's about the whole notion of making those connections with the corporate sector, with private citizens and with others, to allow them to not only embrace what we're doing as a district, but allow them to really become the voice for how strong we are and how strong we can be as a district.
Connie?
I think the one thing for Des Moines schools, we've seen great progress. We're starting to see some strong indicators that the direction we're taking is correct. We still have work to do. There's no doubt about it. But I think bringing the community in, I've always been an advocate for that and worked closely with United Way. So the community understands, first, the issues Des Moines is facing, the school district is facing, and then also understand what's really happening in the schools. And hopefully this upcoming year we'll do a better job getting out into the community to give our story as to what's going on and what we need from the community to help us. We can't do this all alone. This is a total community endeavor. And everybody wants strong schools. There's no doubt that that is the bedrock of any community. They choose their home based on the schools in their neighborhood. And I think we are doing a good job of really make the improvements that are necessary in the confidence. People have to have confidence in the kids. Some of the things that the opportunities that Des Moines offers, no other school district in the state offers the opportunities we do. And I think getting that message out too. I don't think people really understand the programming and the choice and all the things that are available for students. So I look forward to the upcoming years that we'll be able to get that message out. We've redirected the linkage committee, and with new board members, hopefully we'll be out in the buildings more. So we will have a closer contact with the community, and not only the school community, but also the neighborhoods.
Rob?
Well, yeah, following on with what Connie said, I mean, it's building relationships with parents and teachers and community members. I think that's vitally important. There aren't enough people that are active in our school system. You led this program by talking about the turnout rate, which this year's turnout rate was not that historically different from last school board races turnout and the prior one at that. I'm going to borrow or ad-lib something from a friend of mine, which is that the issue isn't that we have too many people that are participating with our school board right now. It's clearly that we have too few, and we all have a role to play there across the city. One of the things that I've talked about for the future of this district, and things that we can communicate, things that we can teach, is a greater diversity of options within this district. I'm a product of Central Academy. Very proud of the education that I received there. In fact, I wouldn't have made it to where I am right now if not for a particular teacher at that school. I went to Merrill before Merrill was IB. We have Montessori over at Coles. These are all, I think, very promising developments for our district, and things that Connie and Terry that kind of are supporting points to what they're saying about how strong of a district that we have and how we need to communicate that. And we need to continue to move forward. I think that a more diverse set of options in our public education system is a good thing. I think it's something that my generation looks at as a strength, and something that as a board we need to be focused on for the next 20 years.
And I'm going to come back with diversity, not just in options, but in, of course, our students and our teaching and our staff as we come back from break. This was a shorter one because we had that video at the beginning. But I do want to remind everyone who's out there watching or listening on the Fallon Forum here that we want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit for sponsoring this segment of the show. The 2013 Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit on November 9th at Drake University will be a great event to learn about starting and growing your own business. At a cost of only $35, you'll learn about the Affordable Care Act, changes in the tax code, and get help with your businesses and the plans and a lot more. Last year, more than 500 people attended, and about 100 new business startups came out of the event. Now sign up today. And also, we want to thank Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering located in Beaverdale, offering unique menus and delicious food for breakfast, lunch, and early bird, and, of course, dinner. Be sure to check out their patio and rooftop and enjoy the great outdoors. And finally, a thanks to Ritual Cafe, a great place for tea, coffee, smoothies, paninis, meetings, music, and I guess a whole lot more. There's always something happening at the Ritual. And when we come back, we'll talk about diversity in the Des Moines Public Schools. Thank you.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seemed like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Thanks, and welcome back to the Fallon Forum. I am the guest host today. My name is Thatcher Williams, and so I don't forget, I want to thank the Fighting Burrito for sponsoring this segment of the show. Located in Ames in downtown Des Moines on 13th Street, just south of Locust, you'll find a great atmosphere, great staff, and a delicious lunch. Their belief is a good meal can prepare you to do great things, and a healthy meal is a great step towards a satisfied, focused mind. Fighting Burrito is proud to serve fresh ingredients from local vendors, and they care about this planet and work hard to be efficient and green. So join the fight today and head on over to the Fighting Burrito. Again, my guests today are the incoming and returning school board members for the Des Moines Public Schools from the results from Tuesday's election. And actually, all four of you will be sworn in at the next school board election, which is this coming Tuesday night. Now, one of the great things about Des Moines, and one of the reasons why when I came back to the area back in 2002, I chose to live in the Union Park area, was the diversity of Des Moines. I went to North High School back in the 80s, and even at that time, I think we were close. The white population was close to being essentially a majority minority. It was a very diverse, as Toussaint remembers going to North High School as well during that time. A very diverse school, and I wanted my daughters to experience that as well. Rob brought up that we have a very quickly growing Latino population in the Des Moines schools. I think Des Moines itself is approximately 25% Latino.
Population-wise or student-wise?
Population-wise.
I don't know the adult
student-wise.
19% student-wise, I think.
So and it's going.
I thought it was 23, but you know.
And it's going.
I defer to you because.
And that's right. And that was one of the topics. As we move forward, we are seeing a Des Moines school board that is actually more diverse than we might have seen in some times in the past.
Than we have ever seen
in the recent past.
In the past period, probably.
I would say it's the first time the diversity.
Yeah.
No, it's still geographically and racial. I mean, we are more diverse than any of the other elected bodies.
Yep.
And that's fantastic. We have Toussaint and Terry here who are African American. Rob, Latino American. We actually have three female board members. I know I was asked one time, would it be great if the school board was exactly the makeup of the Des Moines School District? And I said, I don't think that the people who are on the board, where they've come from necessarily matters, as long as they keep in mind the importance of making sure that we take care of our diverse student population and our diverse community. And Rob, if you want to, I see you're wanting to mention something. I see you kind of stepping forward, so we'll go with you first.
Well, sure. When you said that, that brings to mind something that I would talk about a lot during the campaign, which is I was running to be the first Latino elected to the Des Moines School Board, first Latino elected citywide in Des Moines. And I mentioned that. I talked about that as part of the campaign. But I wanted no one to vote for me solely because of my ethnic heritage. That alone is not a qualifier for anyone to any elected office. We need smart people, good people who are committed to the role and who are prepared for it. And so, you know, and that I think that goes without saying, but sometimes you still got to say it because it's it's just so important.
You know, I would just offer that, you know, for the first time, you know, not only do we have broad geographic representation, but we obviously have very broad ethnic and racial representation on the board. And again, this is the first time in the history of this elected body or any elected body in the city of Des Moines that we have this diverse of a background being represented by those people that were elected to serve. And I think that says volumes, not only about who we are as a community, but also what we value as a community. And I think diversity is something that we should all really lift up, and it's something that we should all be very proud of. And again, geographically, racially, ethnically, all kinds of things really sort of come to mind when we think about not only this historic election, but I also think it really begins to allow us to think even more broadly and more deeply about from our individual lens and our collective lens, what we bring to the district and how we can use that to continue to make forward progress for every single student. And I think it's really quite historic, and I think it's something that we really do need to not only applaud, but I think it's also something that we need to always keep foremost in our minds as we begin to think about the charge that we have as members of this board.
I don't think I have anything to add. I think they covered it. I think I already said that I think when you look at this board, we are truly representing this total community, and I don't think any other board or elected body has been able to do that. So I think I'm very proud of the fact that the public has seen that it's important, and I think that's one reason we're all here.
That's fantastic. And we mentioned about stepping forward and using our backgrounds. Using your backgrounds to lead the Des Moines School Board as a whole. Along with that is go back to the kid president in the previous segment about what are we teaching, not just the students but everyone else in the community, and that we're all teachers in different ways and so forth. One of those is by how we work together or how we interact, how we make decisions, and how we move forward with those decisions. As two new members come on board, 2 returning, we have 3 current school board members who will be returning as well, Cindy Ellsburn, Bill Howard, and Pat Sweeney. What do you see, and we'll start with Toussaint, what do you see, how are you looking to work together with the new members as well as the current members, and work through showing, or I guess the best way to put it is using the old colloquial leading by example. How do you see the board as essentially leading by example in the future here?
I think the first thing is being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is that we may have disagreements, and those disagreements may be in the back room, but then when we come to the forefront, that we come as a unified body, so that the community sees that we really want to work together. This isn't about self-interest or personal interest, but this is more about the future of our children. And so as for me, because I'm a pastor, I have a little different calling or somebody to answer to. And so for me, I think that we need to really work in harmony, and that's going to be what I really push for, is that, we work together so that the community sees, that we're a unified body and we really want what's best. And we've been voted in by the people, and so we really have to represent the people. And so I don't think with all the things that are going on with the world, with the fabric of America being torn apart, I think that they really need to see that there's a group of people who really care about kids in the community, and we really want to work for what's best. And we can do that. And I think we have a good group of people to do that with.
Connie?
I think it's to what Toussaint said, we all need to work together, and we might not all agree, and if you explain it and don't make it personal. It's we should be able to move on. I've been on the board for a long time, and there's many votes. We all vote alike. There's many votes that we might be a 5-2, it might be a 4-3, it might be a 6-1, it might be whatever. But that's everybody's choice. But I think everybody has the right to their opinion, and we have to recognize that, and then we move on. Once the vote's been taken, the vote's been taken, and then that is the vote of the board. And I think that that's one thing that we have a fresh start. Every time you have an election, we have new members, and we do have some returning. But again, it's a fresh approach, and I think we all have to. Again, it's really what's best for the students, and hopefully we all work together and really focus on what's best for the students.
I'm leaning this way, so Terry.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, at the end of the day, we can always disagree without being disagreeable, and I think that I've really worked hard to make sure that people understood the reason why I voted the way I did, and with clarity of thought and clarity of purpose, being clear about why I do the things I do. At the end of the day, I don't think there's any question about, how I vote and why I vote that way. But I also think that the other thing that is critically important moving forward, and I shared this when we had the Southside Forum a couple weeks ago now, was that, this is really about the kids. It's really, at the end of the day, about the kids and how we come together as a board to represent the interests of all 32,000 of those students and figure out how we make a way for them to not only receive a quality education, but one that is equitable in every sense of the word, is really what I'm all about. And so at the end of the day, I may not always agree with Connie, but at the end of the meeting, Connie's still my friend. And so I think that we have to be clear that it's okay to have dissent. It's okay not to always agree, but it's in how you do it that I think we have to be more focused and more specific so that we are sending out a message that I may not always agree with someone and I may vote differently, but we're really all about the same thing, and it's about making the right decisions for this district and for our kids.
Rob?
Well, I disagree with nothing that's been said so far. Obviously, we need to work together, and we need to treat each other all with respect and not take things personally when decisions don't go our way. All of these things are ways in which we're teachers in our community, just like Kid President talked about. And having a more diverse board, hopefully you have more interest and buy-in, not just from adults, but from children too. And they see and start to understand Toussaint's story and where how he came up through this district and see some of that in themselves and see that promise out there. But they'll be turned off if Toussaint and I are fighting over petty adult stuff and don't deal well or don't spend time out in the community. We have a tremendous responsibility, and I so passionately believe in the ethic of public service, and am so honored by the opportunity to stand for elected office and serve my community, and so I will not let folks down in that capacity in any way, shape, or form.
We're gonna go into our final segment here in a few minutes, and again, I want to thank our guests today, the 4 recently elected school board members for the Des Moines Public School. Also, I want to thanks to Dan Kelly in Newton, a versatile guy who's a legislator, real estate agent, and DJ. I mean, who knew? Who knew you could do all that? Also, thanks to Story County vet Dr. Kim Holding. She has been treating critters of all kinds in Ames for more than 3 decades. Your pets will come home smiling. And finally, of course, thanks to the Flying Burrito for sponsoring this segment of the show. And we will be back shortly after these messages, and we'll talk a little bit more about diversity, closing that achievement gap, and we'll also talk about graduation rates and the graduation walk that's coming up in a week and a half. So stay tuned.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day uno, one of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
And we're back. The final segment of the Fallon Forum today on Friday the 13th. If you have a little bit of triskaidekaphobia about you, hear the number 13, please stay home. Don't scare me with it. I do want to thank the Hawk Restaurant for sponsoring this segment of the show. If you've not visited Hawk, which I have actually, the last time I was guest on Ed's show, fantastic food. But if you've not visited Hawk, be sure to make plans to do so. Experience delicious, sustainable farm-to-table dining in the historic East Village of Des Moines at East 5th and Walnut. The menu evolves around almost daily and exists to showcase the finest of Iowa's ingredients while supporting local farmers. Owners Suman and Cynthia Hawk believe the best meals begin with the best ingredients. That's why approximately 90% of their ingredients come from local farms. They are passionate about creating healthy seasonal dishes with flavors from around the world, and they're committed to what they do, and they think you'll taste the difference. In this final segment, we've touched on it several times, and I do want to go back to it because I know, especially in this modern age, in Des Moines, we are seeing a huge growth in the diversity of the Des Moines schools and the student population, well, in the community in general. I can't remember, and I'm sure one of you will be able to know, how many languages do our students actually speak that are in the Des Moines public schools?
They recognized 80, but it's over 100, I think, is what Vin had said at one report. So there are, because it could be dialect or whatever, so there's numerous.
And we have new students new families moving to Des Moines every day, and that number is just going to continue to grow. I mean, we are one world. No matter where we go in this world, we'll find people from somewhere else. And we talked about achievement gap, especially, and dealing with the diversity as well. What is the Des Moines Public Schools focus over the next couple of years to really address, the diversity of people from so many different cultures with so many different languages, and how do we move forward in smaller communities in rural districts? It's more homogenous, but in Des Moines it's a much more diverse situation. What do we see, or what do you see as the Des Moines School Board's objective in making sure all those children are taught to what we feel, to move them forward into our community? And Connie, I'm looking at you first.
I'll just say one thing that we were active, all of us were active this year, was getting additional funding for the English language learners. We got an additional year, which is huge. We are having the population that is coming in now really are illiterate in their home language, possibly. And so their needs are much different than maybe when the first refugees families came over, and Terry probably can address that even more. But I think those are the type of things as a school where we need to go get the funding to support these special students that no other school district has. So that was a huge win, I think, for the Des Moines schools, was the extra year of funding. And I think you have to provide the programs and supports. And again, so many of these things are beyond just the school. They're the social supports that you need to help for these families, where they come into a country where they don't know the language at all and the parents don't know. So how do you support them outside of the school to make school good for their students? So I think it's a two-way approach. We have to look at it more than what just come to school. It's really how do you wrap your arms around the social needs of the families to make it better for the kids.
Yeah, I would concur. In so many ways, we need to rely on Des Moines Public Schools to do what we do best, which is to teach. And we also then need to rely on those community resources, community-based organizations, other entities, the religious community, the faith community, to really wrap their arms around these families, to provide them the other supports that, quite frankly, schools just shouldn't be providing. I think that we really need to begin to think about those long-term community strategies. We just started a new group recently that is putting together a refugee strategic plan, the first in the state, the first community in the state to really look at long-term what the challenges are that many of our newest families are needing to address, whether it's transportation, education, social integration, employment, health. There's so many factors that impact these families, and Des Moines Public Schools needs to do our part. We need to really work hard to figure out how we can best educate and equip these children, but we also have to rely on the larger community to do their part to really address all of the other factors that are going to allow not only those children, but their families to be successful as well.
I'll move over to Sant.
I think that one of the biggest things that we, to agree with Terry and Connie, is making sure that community partners come on board. And so I think that we really need to push that envelope to make sure and ensure that the community partners know what the needs are the people are and the children are, and then we need to go reach past just some of our own boundaries and reach a little further to make sure that the kids are really getting what they need. One of the things I talked about in my campaign was having a resource center in the schools, and I really feel like that's something that we need. My 9-year-old came from, well, she was 8 then, but when we were in the Brooklyn Center area, there was a resource center right inside the school, and it was a community partner, so there was no funding that came from the public schools, but it was a community partner, and so the resources that families needed was right there. It was available to them, and so anything that they needed. So I think that that's one of the things we really need to look at. There are other agencies now that are making sure that there are resources in the community, and so we need to really reach out to those agencies and push to make sure that the people are really, really getting what the children need. And the final thing is this, is that there is the new 3D program, Des Moines University, Drake, Des Moines Public Schools. And so we need to push that 3D program to make sure that there is diversity in the schools, because what we as Westerners sometimes have as our own culture, people who are coming from other places, that is not their culture. And so they may not understand our culture. And so we need people who are from diverse areas so that they understand our culture and we understand their culture, because there's sometimes simple things that can cause a kid to go off or, for lack of better terms, or do things that he shouldn't do or she shouldn't do because it's a part of their culture. And so I think having diversity in the schools will assist with helping our students to learn better.
Rob?
Well, again, speaking last, there's very little to disagree with, and sometimes less to add. But one thing I would say is that there's a tremendous value in providing services and resources beyond the classroom within our school buildings. That's nearly the one common denominator that all of our children will pass through in their lives. So having trained counselors and mental health professionals and community liaisons and on down the line employed within our schools is vital and essential, because there are so many different issues that manifest themselves within school districts and school buildings today than 20 years ago, and it's too much to ask our teachers to handle everything. So we need to have folks who are trained and hired and prepared to fill in and to assist students.
And to touch on that, and we've heard about community engagement, bringing in the business community, bringing in the faith community. Again, I'm active in my daughter's school at Phillips Traditional, and I think the one thing as parents, if we want the education of our children to be better, whether it's public schools, private schools, whatever it might be, is we as parents need to be a lot more engaged in the daily process as well. We need to be, if you want your child to truly understand the importance of their education, as a parent, it is your obligation, it is your responsibility to get involved in your child's education. Go volunteer at the schools, get involved with the PTA, go volunteer time with helping out the teachers in the classroom, check with your employers. You might see opportunities of volunteer time off with some employers to actually spend extended times. You'll still get paid by your employer, and you'll be contributing to your schools and the better education of your children. The last topic I really want to talk about, though, is diversity, but this time diversity of offerings. I know it was brought up again. Des Moines has traditional schools, Phillips being a traditional school. They do the core knowledge sequence. They have an extra 2 hours of math, reading, writing, arithmetic essentially a week. Coles Montessori, and I know there are other there's a Jefferson is a traditional school. We have IB schools. What do we see as the future? Are we going to see more of these opportunities, more different types or styles of education, or are we looking more for, or as a school board director, are you looking more for maybe just a variety more of different offerings for the students to keep them engaged in education and to help them achieve in their future lives as they go on and graduate?
There's not a lot of difference between the two, as far as I'm concerned. Education is a very individual experience, and one of the challenges of any public school system is devising programming and that reaches kids who are same age, same grade, but vastly different personalities and interests. And as a district that is becoming more and more diverse, we have to see that as our charge to continue to offer a diversity of programming. I am a big believer that the future of our public education system looks a lot more like the vast potpourri of different schools that operate different from each other, and I think as a board we can start moving more and more in that direction, because a lot of the programs that you cited are tremendously popular within their neighborhoods, and can be translated either those programs themselves to other schools, or we can, as a board, always be looking out for new and innovative ways that of course meet the standards of our district leadership.
And I'm looking at the clock. We'll have Terry. Is there anything you want to add with that?
Well, I think that we should be extraordinarily proud of what we have to offer from a diverse teaching perspective with what we currently have in our portfolio of school offerings. But what I would also venture to say is, even within that context, we have some arts immersion schools that we don't talk about a lot, and a variety of other things that exist in the district as part of our portfolio. I would recommend that at some point it doesn't hurt to look at gender-specific schools, to look at things that maybe are a little bit different shift from what our current portfolio has to offer, and really look at ways that we can provide opportunities that allow us to address some of the core needs that many of our students have that maybe we aren't addressing now through other models of service delivery from a teaching perspective. So I think the sky's the limit, and I think we should be, again, extraordinarily proud of what we have, but it doesn't mean that we should stop there. I think that there are a variety of other things that we can look at, and I think that we should challenge ourselves to do just that.
I think looking at as everybody's already said, we have great programs. I think looking at how do we expand even whether we have language in all schools now. Now, how do we support that? Because we have many different types of schools, but maybe I would say we need to expand the programming that we have, whether it be in the central campus programs. How do we expand what's new for the career field? What do we need to add? What do we need to expand? So I look at that we have good choice now. What do we do to expand opportunities? I guess I'm in even more schools. So, and that could be in programming. So I think, as Terry said, it's all open. I think we have to be constantly looking at ways that we're going to engage students in a better way to make it a good educational experience for them. And as we all said, it's very individual for students. How do we reach every student?
Having 6 children, I understand that kids learn different, and so I think that there needs to be a wide variety of teaching institutions, and I'm happy and I'm proud to see. But I think, like they've said prior to me, that we don't need to stop, but we need to continue to make sure that the kids are successful at the next stage of their life.
And we've gone over, but there is one more thing I want to mention before we leave. And let me make sure I do this first. I want to thank Terry Caldwell Johnson, who's now the District 4
Correct.
school board member, Connie Boson, who's an at-large school board member, both of those two continuing their many years of service for 4 more years. I want to thank Rob Barron, new at-large school board member, and Toussaint Cheatham, the new 2nd District, the Northside District school board member.
Thank you
for coming and joining me today. Before we go, I do want to make mention the United Way of Central Iowa has a program that next Saturday, September 21st, is called, currently it's now called Graduation Walk. It used to be called Reach Out to Dropouts. Connie, I'm going to let you speak to it better because I know, because I've seen your picture on the United Way website about it. So,
well, this is a program that was started really when Bryce Amos came into the district. He had experience with it in Houston, and so we were able to connect with the United Way to really develop it. And it really brought the community and United Way into the schools in a much greater way. And it really opened up the conversation on what can we do to make it better. So this is a graduation walk, reaching out to the students that have either dropped out or probably maybe have bad attendance or whatever, or indicators that they might have a potential problem. And you go out and reach out and go door to door and try to get everybody back in. It's interesting because when people are so passionate, all the businesses, the people that come, they really want to find a student. And I had somebody that did find a student that they got them re-registered. And they said, I'll be there for their graduation. And I think that the enthusiasm from the community and the people that really care is really rewarding and uplifting if you're ever a part of it.
And people can sign up for that at the United Way of Central Iowa website. Right. And I believe I gave Maddie that link earlier. Hopefully we can share that link if we can. But I will be joining. You can do, you have to go to a 1-hour training if you're new. Right. If you've done this before, you have to watch a web video refresher trainer, I believe.
And I believe they have background checks and things like that too.
Yes, everyone who does the walk receives is given a background check. And then next Saturday morning from 9 to noon, we all meet at respective high schools and we spread out to talk to those individuals, as Connie did say, who have dropped out or who appear to be having trouble that they will be able to graduate on time. Again, I want to thank my guests for being here. I want to thank Ed Fallon for giving me the opportunity to guest host his show. I want to thank Maddie Kane, our producer, and of course, thanks to Webcast One Live, and thanks to Diane Wedding Cakes in Newton, and not just for weddings, she also has cupcakes and cookies and all kinds of goodies, so call her for your special events needs, and thanks to Community CPA and Associates, who are committed to providing professional accounting and tax services to their clients where the differences in cultures, social values, and business practices are well understood without prejudice and preconceived judgment. And again, thanks again to our show sponsors, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, the Great March for Climate Action, and to all of our sponsors who make this show possible. Thank you for sharing your afternoon, your lunchtime with me. Thank you for sharing an extra 5 minutes than I asked you to be on here today, to all 4 of you. And tune in next week. Ed should be back sometime soon. I will untime from the back room when it's necessary. Have a great day and have a great weekend.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.